When it comes to copyright in music, there are two rights in music. There's right in the composition, and there's rights in the sound recording. So if I had to explain rights in the composition, that is basically the right of what makes a song. So what does make a song? So a beat makes a song. The songwriter who writes the lyrics, that's what makes a song, and those have their own rights. And then the right in the sound recording, that is now the song itself. That's what you hear on radio, that's basically what you download, that's what you stream. And there's a right within that body of work. And just to kind of break down how the revenue streams are, is, so for the writing composition, so as an example, a streaming service, a digital service like Spotify, for example. So when the song is streamed off Spotify, what happens is, once it is streamed, what a company, a CMO, which is a collection society, would collect a royalty. So Capasso, where I'm from, we deal with mechanical royalties. So within the right of composition, and we'll get more in depth into that in a little bit, but so on a digital service, for the composition, so that's the writers, the songwriters, and the producers. There are rights that are covered within that. So what would happen if it's streamed? Then what would happen is Capasso will be responsible for collecting those royalties, and then what we would then if you're a member of Capasso, then what we would do is we would then pay you your royalties. However, if you're assigned to a publisher, then what we would do, we would then pay your publisher, and then in turn, the publisher would then pay you. Does this make sense? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then now, let's go to the copyright and sound recording. So once again, with the digital service, your song is streamed. But now, with the sound recording, because it's most likely the record label, unless you're independent, of course, but it's most likely the record label now is the one who will then get paid by the digital service, and then the record label will then pay the artist, the performing artist, the artist who you see, the face of the song. I hope that makes sense. All right, so let me move on to the next slide. So now, there are various different rights in composition, in the recording, and other. So this is a breakdown, a snapshot of all the different royalties that if you are an artist, these are all the different revenue streams available to you. On the right side, I've listed the copyright in composition, and there are different royalties. There's performance royalty, and that's defined as whenever your song is played publicly. There's a performance royalty, which then SAMRO is responsible for collecting that performance royalty for the composers and the authors, because it's composition. And as I said, there's a mechanical royalty, which is what they call a reproduction royalty. So that's wherever your song is reproduced or copied. There's a royalty which Capasso is responsible for collecting that royalty. And then there's DALRO for reprographic royalties. That's now where you're talking about literal works. And then if we move to the middle column, I'm just focusing on the collection societies at this moment in time as well. There are the other revenue streams, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but for now I'm just going to focus on that. At the bottom there, you see related rights, which are also known as needle time. And IMPRA and SAMPRA, they're responsible for paying out the performing artist. So just to make things clear again, for copyright and composition, we're dealing with those who make the song. So we're dealing with the producers, we're dealing with the songwriters. For copyright in the recording, you're dealing with the performing artists, now the faces of the song, the people who are actually playing the instruments, the people who are actually performing and singing the song. And I hope that's clear.